Welcome to the Adventures Club of Los Angeles. My name is Rich Mayfield, member 1211. I'm here tonight interviewing Stewart Deats. Illustrious, what's your member number, Stu?
1186. 1168.
1168.
1168.
So we're going to talk about your diving. And for those of you, the guys that don't know, Stu is a prolific scuba diver.
I dive a lot.
Why don't we start with you telling us how often you dive and kind of where you dive around here?
What about this $20 I found on the floor?
Is that for me?
Well, if somebody dropped $20 and you can identify it, come see me.
Is that David McAlexander that dropped that money? Is that the club's money?
Come see me after the
I
show.
think that should go in the kitty, right? That should go in the canteen.
Yeah, okay, we'll put it in the canteen.
Sounds pretty good, right? So let's get to it. Your diving experience around here, how often do you go diving?
Almost every week.
When's the last time you went diving?
Last week.
Like, give me a day.
Oh, wait. That would be Sunday.
So you went on Sunday. So you're literally in the water 4 days.
We literally would go every week, yeah.
You go like guys go surfing, right? You're scuba diving in the Los Angeles area as often as someone would go surfing or something.
That would be accurate, but yes, it's very good, yes.
So where do you dive around LA?
Right now our go-to is Las Tunas, which is, we go up to, I live near Topanga Canyon, so it takes 20 minutes to get through the canyon. On PCH, I take a right, go 2 miles, and park on PCH. And that's where we go in right there at Las Tunas. And sometimes we tank dive, sometimes we free dive. And oh, there's a picture of us. That's a night dive right there on the screen. And holding the flag, I think that is Carlos De La Torre, who, a shout out to Carlos, his birthday today.
Birthday, Carlos. So not only are you going, but you're going with members a lot, right? What members have you gone with in the club?
Scott.
Scott Warner, huge diver.
Scott Warner, he went to Roatan with us.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did a lot of diving with Scott Warner, and we went down there for a week, Roatan, Honduras. That was pretty cool.
Have you been diving with those two over there?
No, I have not.
What's going on?
You haven't dived?
What's going on, Steve Lawson?
No. Well, Steve is a tech diver. I'm pretty much a sport diver.
So explain to us the difference. So Steve Lawson goes out and he looks for wrecks and goes deep and does all that technical diving. What do you do?
Yes, technical means he's certified to go to greater depths and in overhead environments, meaning he can penetrate wrecks and caves with safety, whereas I simply do it. I do it the old-fashioned way, which is if I can see a way out, I'll go in. But is that an accurate portrayal, Steve?
Not so much an overhead environment, but depth.
Oh, greater depth.
Okay, yes.
He said
so
depth.
He's probably certified to breathe Trimix.
Yes, 200 feet.
Trimix, which is a mix of 3 gases. Well, I'm a sport diver, and I'm certified for nitrox, which is two gases. Yeah, enriched oxygen, which is basically we put in more oxygen to displace the nitrogen for more bottom time, basically. And some people think it makes you feel better. It doesn't get you as fatigued from the soak out.
But you get a little bit less depth. That
is true.
So when you're going out diving, what's your objective? I mean, you know, I'll never ask the question, why do you do it? You do it because it's cool.
I do it, really, I do it for fun. And I figure if everybody gets in and gets out without an injury, and we don't lose any equipment, that is a roaring success, right?
Right.
Because divers are notoriously losing equipment and gear and expensive dive knives and such things. So now I buy the really cheap ones because if I lose it, I'm not going to worry about it.
Right. So all this diving is shore diving that you're doing, right?
No, not at all.
You're doing boat dives?
Oh, I do boat dives. I do, yes, I do liveaboards. I do shore dives, like go, go, go. Basically, just to have as much fun as I can.
So when you're out there, what do you consider fun? Like when you jump into the water, and you know the whole process, I'm sure, is fun. But like what do you really consider a good dive around here?
Around here?
Yeah.
There's Southern California, for those that don't know, is truly a destination dive location for people come from all over the world, and I have met them and talked to them. They come from Australia, they come from Scotland, they come from many different places to dive Southern California. One of the reasons is the giant kelp forest, and that is one of the reasons I would be very reluctant to leave California, because I really love the giant kelp forest. Swimming through the kelp forest, the closest thing I can relate it to would be like flying through a redwood forest. You know, on top it may look like spaghetti, but underneath it's trees and the beautiful canopy and the sun filtering through, and it's just amazing to swim through there. And every dive, you never know what you're going to find. I would say every dive is different, and we see different critters in different locations. At Casino Point.
Where's Casino Point?
Casino Point is on Avalon.
On Catalina.
On Catalina. It's right out of the point there, which they have made into a dive park. And we were there, when were we there, Jack? About 2-3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago we were there, just before we went to Florida to dive. And we saw the giant black sea bass, which one of the things people, okay, here we got it. This is just a bat ray. This is I'm just a snorkel. Thank you for the picture. Thank you for pointing to it. That is just a bat ray, which are very common in Southern California. And this one happened to be a group of about a dozen bat rays, which were assembled. And this is free diving. I'm just snorkeling here and breath holding. But this is off of White Point, off of Palos Verdes. And for some reason, they gathered in a circle out there, and I was able to swim down. They're very elusive, and they swim very fast, but they're very, very beautiful and hypnotizing to watch them fly through the water.
That's pretty. So
and they don't sting. And
they don't sting.
I've been stung a lot of times, but not by them.
So how do you make the decision? You know, sometimes you free dive, breath hold, and sometimes you go on scuba. How do you make the decision on what to do?
Well, I really enjoy all of them, but some places like Las Tunas, it's only about 12 or 15 feet deep, and it kind of cries out for free diving, because you can get to the bottom and cruise along the bottom for a time and check things out, and you don't have, it's easier to get in and out of the surf, and you can spend as much time as you want and have as much fun as you want. This is, I believe, a harbor. That's a harbor seal. You can tell it's a harbor seal because if it has ears, it's a sea lion.
So did you take that picture free diving, or did you pick that?
That is free diving, yes. And
So-
there you see a part of the kelp forest in the back.
What's the difference in terms of what animals you can approach on scuba versus free diving?
Well, that's a very excellent question, Rich.
Thank you.
The bubbles are very loud, and they scare away a lot of the game, a lot of the... I'm really interested in the large animals, the mammals and the animals, and also the game. They're very attuned to noise. So those bubbles are very, very noisy. That's one of the reasons that people use rebreathers, because they're very quiet and silent. And so the answer to that is free diving, you're going to see a lot more, I think, animals, because you're silent. Mm-hmm. And even if you are into spearfishing, and when you swim down and clear your ears, and you pinch your nose and you blow and clear your ears, that little beep, the bass can hear that. They can hear that noise, and they will scoot. So it involves a lot of stealth for that kind of diving.
So these sea bass are actually in tune to the sound of a human clearing his ears, and they're like,
Well,
better
they
get
can
out of
hear
here
it.
before
Okay,
I catch a
This
steer.
one right here is the giant black sea bass. These are not so afraid so much because these are 7 feet long. These are, these are 7 feet long, probably 400 pounds. And you can see how close I got to them. And these are very common. These were hunted to extinction in California waters, and then they became protected, and they made a terrific comeback. That is a fantastic success story for California waters, and they're quite common now. You see them particularly at the Casino Point, and they can be at all different depths. They can be shallow. I've seen them at 70 feet. I've seen them at 90 feet. I've seen them at 10 feet. And I've seen as many as 7 in one go at Casino Point. And they are very docile, and you can approach them if you go very slowly. If any sudden movements, though, then they're gone. But
Now, are they still protected?
oh, yeah.
So you did mention, you used the term game, right? So
Yes.
I imagine sometimes you're out there hunting.
We definitely go for lobster.
So tell me about lobster, but tell me about, is there anything else that what do you hunt?
I love talking about all this. Okay, that's
Tell me about what you want to hunt.
about what? Okay,
Tell me about what you're hunting.
I'll tell you. That's not me. That's my friend Bill, but he's hunting for bass there in the kelp forest. You can see the kelp going down and how lovely it is. One of the things we like to do, we're very fond of doing, we try to go every year to the oil rigs. And people that don't know about the oil rigs in Southern California, they are covered with sea life. They are so covered with sea life. Now, those structures are huge. They're gigantic. And later on, we'll see a picture of one of the oil rigs. And what we do is for the oil rigs, we go for the scallops. And the scallops grow so thickly. Yeah, look at the side. You see the scale? You see that guy with his hand up, which is probably, it might be Jack, my dive buddy.
And you're just allowed to cruise up there and
you cannot tie off.
But you can swim up to that rig, swim under it, and just start picking food off?
Oh, yeah. And it's considered an advanced dive. You need an advanced certification in order to do that because it's what we call a live drop. The boat's going to back down, you jump off, and then the boat goes away. And you have to make your way back to the boat.
So there's no anchor line to hold on to?
You cannot anchor, you cannot tie off to the rig, you cannot anchor on it, but you can go, there's Jack and Rampton and the old guy. But what I want to tell you about these rigs is that they're so encrusted with scallops that the oil company has to pay people to come in and scrape them off because it accumulates so much weight from the scallops. But they only scrape them down to 60 feet. So if you go below 60 feet, now you're going to get the really big scallops, okay? And the limit per diver is 10 scallops per day. And everybody limits out on the first dive. Like the first dive, there's so many scallops there that you're gonna get 10 of them easy, right?
Huh. So now, what's the construction of these? Are these like pilings into the ocean floor, or are they floating and anchored, or more?
No, these are huge structures. I think they're like 200 feet. 200 feet plus.
So the superstructure goes all the way to the ocean floor, or does it go down to some floats?
It goes down, and it's anchored in the ocean floor, probably with concrete footings. I don't know, but the pipes are double the size of your desk in circumference. It would be easily like maybe 6 or 8 feet, and they're different sizes, of course. But you can see the scale from that diver.
Right.
They're going to be 6 or 8 feet in circumference. Those huge.
And those go all the way to the seafloor.
Well, it's kind of like a honeycomb going down. There's cross struts, and I'm not an expert in construction, but I know how to get scallops.
So is it like if you just go down 60 feet, is there like a hard line because they get paid?
Oh, they're above 60 feet. They grow so fast that there's plenty of good ones above 60 feet.
And this is open, so you go whenever
if you
you
want. The really big, if you want the maximum size, then you'll go below 60.
And you can go whenever you want. Or is there
I
a
think
season?
the season for scallops is year round. Correct. Yeah, and you can, and we go. That's one of the things. But there's so many things to do in Southern California. That's just one of them. And there's, those oil rigs, they're not polluting. If one tablespoon of oil comes out, 5 agencies have to come out and make sure it's all cleaned up. So
same amount of agencies that come out if 50,000 gallons, right?
yeah, of course. So they have actually created a whole artificial reef that is just teeming with life. Not only scallops, but okay, I'm going to change the subject here. This is one of my favorite things that I love is the eelgrass. That grass.
This isn't on an oil rig, though.
No, this is.
All right, get rid of this picture. Come on, guys. You're distracting Stu. Stay on oil rigs.
You want to go back to the oil rigs?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're saying that there's this giant ecosystem that's essentially an artificial reef.
It is an artificial reef, and the coast is just dotted with them. And this one is in the Santa Barbara Channel.
So you don't have to get permission from the oil rig operator.
I don't think so. I think
I never do.
I think the skipper customarily
Gives him a
contacts
call.
him and saying we're approaching, but I don't think you need any permission. No.
That's pretty cool. I got to go on one of those dives with you. When's
Come
the next
on.
time you're going?
Come on.
Totally into that. I love scallops too. So,
Oh, that's my favorite scallops.
really?
Oh God, yes.
Big ones, huh? And this is this, tell us about this fish and where was this?
Okay, this is. I'm looking at my son. This is Roatan. Is this Roatan? This
It's
is
Roatan.
Roatan in the Caribbean, and this is we went on a shark dive, and that's a picture of a shark. What's he? Don't whisper.
Gray reef shark.
Oh yeah, that's a reef shark. These kinds, they say they don't attack, so.
Have you been attacked by one?
No, not yet, but that's your hand. You're not supposed to stick, if they don't attack, why do they say don't stick your hands out? You're not, so you have a guide who takes you out to these, and they say they don't chum, but they put bloody fish heads in the bucket, so I think they're chumming.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of equating divers with food, I think is a very dubious it's a very dubious concept, right? But it might lead to no good. But they say that they don't attack. But it was a thing that we could do and go have fun. And so we go down and eventually they release the divers to go mingle with the sharks. Release the divers, not the sharks. The sharks are not contained. And so there's no protection. You're just down. You're on the sand on your knees, and they're going by. And I intended to bring a video of this, but I brought so many pictures. I probably won't be able to get through them all. So I just threw some in a folder. And
So when did you go to Roatan?
I've been to Roatan 3 times. Roatan is an awesome place to go in the beautiful Republic of Honduras.
Mm-hmm. Lots of a huge marine park, correct?
Huge what?
Marine park, like a protected area.
A lot of it is protected, yes. Not all of it, but here we are back. And pardon me if we jump around a little bit, but I'm good at thinking on my feet. This is
Seagrass. They really want you to talk about the seagrass.
Eelgrass. And the lobsters hide in that eelgrass. And you can be looking through that eelgrass. You have to get down and peek through it real closely. But you might find like 6 or 8 lobsters just gathering under that eelgrass. And we look at that at night and we go, okay, there they are. You see a bunch of lobsters right there.
So you just stick your hand in that hole and grab for them?
Well, it sounds easy. It sounds easy, Rich. But in Florida, you can use a tool to persuade your lobsters. In California, you must grab the lobsters by hand. And lobsters are the ultimate escape artist.
All right, so tell us about capturing a lobster by hand. So first of all, what's the difference between lobsters here and in Florida?
These are spiny lobsters. I really don't know much about Florida, except I did see some lobsters there. But here this is the beach dive. We're just working out of the back of the pickup truck.
Is that Carlos?
That is,
Or is that Jack?
no, that's not Carlos. That's the border guy, the border patrol guy. Huh? Oh, that's Ricky. He is a border patrol guy.
Yeah.
He comes up here to dive with us. He works for ICE.
Yeah.
He's so totally gung-ho. He says, I'm looking for some action. He wants to go down and arrest people for ICE. And he does that now. He's a federal agent down on the border, and he wants to come up, and he's one of our close dive buddies, and he is like the super lobster catcher. He works at it really athletically, and he goes after them in a big way. And parenthetically, okay, off the record, he shares his lobster. So if Stewart catches one or two, and Ricky catches a dozen
And
or
he hands them to you before you...
you're not supposed to do that. Strictly speaking, you're not supposed to do that, but we love him, so.
So this is so you talked about, scallops, and this, what do you think's your favorite, scallops or lobster?
Personally, scallops.
All right, but...
Scallops, hands down, for me. California spiny lobster it doesn't have a mild flavor. It has a very strong, pungent flavor. It's not like, if you go to a restaurant and you order lobster, you're probably not getting California spiny lobster, because it has a very strong flavor. And virtually all of the lobster that's caught here commercially goes straight to Japan because they pay for it. So, but we get... Usually, we usually stock up during the winter. Lobster season is mostly during the winter time. And while we have this slide up, I'll talk about that shot you saw of me with the bloody head. That was one night from a beach dive going...
Yeah, we got that.
Huh?
Well,
Do we have that?
I want to stay on the lobsters.
Oh, okay,
So when you get these, you said you stock up. Do you have like a big tank at home, like at the restaurants?
No.
There's
We
just a bunch of
put
lobster running around in there until you're ready.
No, they freeze very well. So we just freeze them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have they ever woken up when you thaw them out?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know. Really, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know they put them on ice and they're still alive.
Oh, yeah, they'll be alive the next morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually just bring them home in the cooler, and they come and open the
zombie
cooler.
lobster.
And the next morning to clean them up, and then they're still moving around, right? Sure.
Creepy.
Oh, fresh, Rick,
Yeah.
fresh.
Yeah.
But yeah, for
You
me,
ever feel bad about throwing them in the water, the boiling water?
I don't do that.
You don't do that?
No, I don't do that.
How do you do it?
I chop them and split them and butterfly them, and then put some butter on it and into the broiler.
No, how do you kill them?
Oh, how do I kill them? Yeah. Well, first I taunt them. then I threaten them.
For real, because it's a bug, right? But I have heard people say that there's different ways to
Oh, sure,
kill
everybody's got their, but most people, they grill them, I think.
You don't boil them? I
No,
thought
no,
everybody
no.
boiled them.
Nah.
I thought that was the common way. They go tick, tick, tick inside the
Everything's
pan.
better with butter on it. You know that.
Well, you're going to put butter on it later.
How do you kill them?
Yeah, how do you kill them? Tell us.
You want to know the gory part?
Yeah.
Okay, how do I kill them? I stick a knife in their brain.
And that's the most humane way. So you are the
Yeah, I do.
humanitarian.
Of course, I don't want any animal to suffer.
Right.
And also, we follow all the regulations. To do otherwise would be unsportsmanlike. We would never take a short lobster because it would be the endless disrespect of my dive buddies would never go for that. Would never like that. So we obey all the.
These are pretty big lobster, though, right?
Those are fair size, yeah. And this is right off the beach, and we find them in like 5 feet of water. They don't necessarily have to be deep, but you do have to be quick. They are so fast. If you've ever tried to catch a chicken by chase down a chicken holding your breath, that's what it's like. Because if you reach for them, they are gone like a shot. then you don't get a second chance.
So how do you grab them? What's your strategy?
Like that, so quick.
Do it again.
You have to.
He is fast.
You have to be so quick.
Not as fast as the Border Patrol guy, right?
And I've learned a lot about catching lobster. I have from Ricky. If you're swimming along and you see them, you cannot hesitate. You got to go straight at them. And don't like try to get in position or something and go around to the side or something. You go straight at them, go head on before they know what's up, right? Because if they see you, if they figure out what you're, because you see them start to back up, then it's too late. You got to go for them before they do that.
So basically, as soon as you see a lobster, you swim directly at it.
Go
and try
at
to grab
it.
it.
Just go at it.
You're not trying to sneak around behind it or whatever. You're just.
And my kill ratio, by kill ratio, well, I will dig them out of the rocks. I've done that too, but my biggest one I ever got was digging them out of the rocks like that. Yeah, you know, I got bit by an eel before by doing that, but I still do it. I still. Well, now I do, Eric, but after getting bit a few times, but the spiny lobsters, they don't have any claws, but they are very, very spiny, and it's like grabbing a cactus. It really is. If you don't wear gloves, you're going to come away bloody. And the reason I started wearing gloves, because I realized I was pulling my punches. Well, I would reach for a lobster, and I wouldn't reach as hard because I know it's going to hurt. So then I wore gloves.
So what kind of gloves do you wear? Do you wear?
I just wear ordinary garden gloves.
Garden gloves.
The kind that fit tight. They get at Home Depot. I mean, some people wear neoprene gloves and everything, fancy stuff. But I just wear the cheap, thin ones because they're enough protection for me.
The cheap, thin ones, they're like dipped in rubber or whatever?
Yeah, exactly like that. I think they're called Multiflex or something like that. But they're
and that's enough,
like $4 at Home Depot. Yeah.
You ever lose the gloves?
No, I haven't lost gloves yet. I lost a lot of things, but not gloves.
Tell us about some of the stuff that you've lost and why.
I don't want to talk about that.
Well, I know. It's interesting, though.
I've never lost a weight belt.
You've never lost a weight belt?
I've
never lost gloves?
Okay.
I feel like a weight belt is something that inevitably, because, I mean, they make that thing to ditch it, right?
They make it to ditch it.
But you've never had to ditch it?
I've never had to ditch it.
Impressive.
I've been in some situations, but let's move along.
No. What have you lost? Because we're gonna lead into one of the best pictures.
I lost like an expensive pole spear.
How'd you lose that?
I got my ass kicked at a Little Doom.
Okay.
And that was a time that I was trying to get back into diving after a hiatus.
What did you get your ass kicked by?
By the waves.
The ocean.
By simply the waves, trying to get through the surf. And I went in, I got hit by a wave, I got a fin stripped off, and I lost my brand new expensive pole spear, and I was huffing and puffing and breathing hard, and I got my ass kicked, and I said, man, I got to get back in shape because this is not cool. And I love diving so much that I'm going to work on my cardio and keep my cardio up. So that's what, this is a very common site here in Southern California. This is a nudibranch. This would be Kevin Lee's specialty.
How big is this thing?
That is about, 2 inches long, maybe a little bigger or smaller. And that one is often called a Spanish dancer, but what it really is a Spanish shawl. And the colors are accurate, except for maybe my camera exposure might be a little off because the color is just as vivid as you can imagine with the purple and the orange, and they're very common here. You might see 3 or 4 in 5 feet of water or 30 feet of water. Very common sight in Southern California. Every diver in this area is familiar with them.
But this is at night. You see these at night, or you see them during the day as well?
We see them. They're out in the day, and we see them at night. Sure, yeah.
When was that picture taken, night or day?
It looks like night because of the video light.
That's
How are we doing
cool.
on time?
Great. Okay,
let's do another picture then.
I want to actually let's roll some of these videos. I think you have some videos there.
Yeah. Okay. This is me in 1981.
What are you holding? 40.
Yeah.
41 years ago.
1980 or 1981.
41 or 42 years
We
ago.
lived in Silver Lake, and I'm on the street there in Silver Lake, and that is a halibut that I shot free diving on Point Doom, when Point Doom was open. And I told my wife was skin diving with me, I said, stay right. She said, oh, I'm cold, I'm tired, let's go back in. I said, okay, hold this bag for me. I'm gonna go down and get a big fish. So I took a deep breath and I swam down to the bottom, and I came back up with I shot him dead right through the neck with the pole spear, right? So it's free diving with a pole spear. I swam down and shot him right through the neck, and with the pole spear, when you shoot a fish, he's not done fighting. They will spin themselves in two in order to get away. They're solid muscle. They're going to fight like Dixie to get away. So I grab both sides of the pole spear, right? If it goes through him, I grab both sides, and I swim up to the top. And when I swim up to the top, and she's holding that bag for me. She didn't believe it, right? But her eyes were like saucers. Like, I can't believe you did that, Stewart.
So with a pole spear, is it attached to anything? Like, do you have like a line on it, or?
No, you just have like a piece of surgical rubber.
And you gotta catch that once you let it go, or it never.
It's extremely primitive.
Hawaiian sling.
No,
Yeah.
it's not even a Hawaiian sling. It's just a Hawaiian sling. I think has like a little slide on it.
So tell us how it works.
This isn't even that. This is just a piece of. It's basically a stick on a rubber band, and
So you've got to hold on to the end of it once you let it go.
You have definitely had to hold on to it because the fish will take off with it.
How far away are you from this fish when
With
you?
the pole spear, you got to be right on top of them. Like I could shoot your head from here, but.
So like you're like a foot away, and then.
From here, like maybe
Is it 3-prong?
5, 6. I'm sorry.
Is it 3-prong?
Yeah, exactly, Matthew Nadu. I use a paralyzer. Yeah, that's the one I prefer, but it doesn't have any barbs on it, so you can pull it right off. Yes, that's what I use. Yeah.
So this particular halibut, though, you shot him dead. That
I
happens
shot him
sometimes?
dead, and out of his mouth comes a brig because they follow the grunion, right? The halibuts are following the grunion. So I shot him dead, and out of his mouth comes a grunion this long, and I cooked and ate that too.
It's a twofer, huh?
We don't waste anything here. Here at the Adventurers Club of California, of Los Angeles, we don't waste anything.
That's pretty cool. So 40-something years of diving. You haven't aged a bit.
If we're gonna go back in the time machine.
I don't know. Are there any other old pictures to look at?
I failed to include them, but I was a commercial diver at age 12. I was a commercial diver for age 12 because I went to with a bunch of school kids over to Avalon with no parental supervision whatsoever. You might say my parents were what's the word?
Laissez-faire?
They were
Laissez-faire.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's a nice way of saying it. Yes, but so I just slept on people's floors, and when the big white steamship would come in, some of the more seasoned people would remember the big white steamship called the SS Catalina would steam into the pleasure pier in Avalon Harbor, which has now been knocked down by storms. There would be kids in the water that the tourists would throw quarters to. So I was one of those kids.
Yeah.
So a commercial diver, I was diving for quarters at that time. In the truest sense of the word, I was a commercial diver because I was diving literally for money.
So what did a quarter get you in Avalon back in those days? Did that give you a hamburger?
It would give you an order of, for 50 cents, I could get an order of French fries and live to fight another day.
Nice.
Yeah, a McDonald's cheeseburger was 18 cents.
There was no McDonald's then.
What year are we talking?
81. No, this is 81. And
No,
you were
that's
a grown
81.
man.
This would have been 63 or.
Yeah.
Whew.
It was 15 cents for a hamburger, 18 for a cheeseburger. I used to buy them when I would dive off.
Well, I don't think there's any
Not
McDonald's
in
on,
Avalon,
Not
you
on
didn't.
Avalon, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking. So you So you'd catch a couple quarters and you'd be able to order some fries, and and that's how you survived on.
And I
as a
was
commercial
very tempted.
diver.
In those days, they had an arcade there, and it was very tempted for a 12-year-old kid to go in the arcade and spend his monies on those stupid pinball machines. But I was, let's say, on a budget.
Yeah.
And Avalon was so wide open, and it was so wonderful because they would build a big fire right there on the beach and be passing around jugs of wine. And there was something called 151 that was very popular in those.
You were 12?
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. Parents just put you on a boat to Catalina, or you just got on the boat yourself. How much was the ferry over to Catalina?
Now that I cannot remember, but the flying fish were ubiquitous in that time. There was lots of flying fish in the channel where they would come up and they'd glide a very long way.
Yeah.
Maybe like maybe 100 yards or 200 yards, just skimming the surface.
Do you know what happened to the flying fish in the area?
Do I know? No. I suspect it's cyclical because, you know, you have the El Nino, you have the El Niña, and all of those things that happen. I suspect they might come back sometime.
Are they more of a warm water?
I think they're warm water, yeah, because I was diving in Avalon Harbor without a wetsuit of any kind, but what you can still do today, people were doing it a couple of weekends ago.
If it's hot enough.
Yeah, it was.
And you're a kid and you don't care.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
So let's fast forward and talk about some of your more recent dive adventures. In the last, like, what, 2 months? Where have you been? In the recent past, in the last few months.
Well, we were at Avalon Harbor. That was a family trip. Went with my son, a bunch of dive buddies, my daughter who just bought a house in Florida. That's why we went to Florida. And while we were in Florida,
Where at?
St. Petersburg.
Oh, okay.
So,
We're in
So-
Bradenton, just south of it.
oh, you're an hour away. Okay, so you might be interested. I don't know, but we went to something called Egmont Key, which is and of course I hire a boat, and we go to Egmont Key, and we free dove and snorkeled at a place called Fort Dade.
Okay.
And Fort Dade is a sunken. It's from like the 1850s, I think, and it's a gun emplacements there that have tumbled into the water. They're sunken, so so it's very shallow. It's maybe like 20 feet deep. You can easily snorkel it and free dive it, but the gun emplacements there's a lot of structure there and a lot to look at. But this time of water, I think this time of year, that water gets green with algae. I mean, it was still great, but not ideal for photography. Mm-hmm. But for parenthetic, I'm constantly, I get to the age, everything reminds me of something, but it's wonderful family bonding time.
Does everybody in your family dive?
Everybody in my immediate family, yes.
If they don't dive, they ain't no family of mine.
Well, my future son-in-law, he is currently taking his SCUBA certification. When we went there, he went with us. He's like on fire now. He wants
Was that a condition of marriage?
I wish, but it's working out that way, so I'm very happy. So we did Egmont Key, and then I think they're going to this week. So we keep in touch. They're going to Key West this week. I guess that's within the striking range of St. Petersburg.
Who are these two guys?
That's me and is that me and my son? Yeah, I got the green snorkel. That's me and my son. I think that's probably, I don't know where that is.
Did you take your regulator out for the picture?
Of course. Yes.
What happened, Jack? You didn't get the memo?
Yeah, Jack.
It was in front of me. I didn't see you take it out. Well, I think that was earlier. It was, I want to say that's,
Hey, I'm pretty good at the selfie, huh?
I think that's Corral.
That could be any of the local beaches, but
You can't identify it by the blue in the background.
Well, that was my old ring.
it could be Deer Creek. We go.
We don't have to speculate on where it is.
okay,
Nobody's
okay.
going to know. right, so
I appreciate the way you're directing this interview.
Thank you.
Up to a point.
I think you gave us some videos. I would like to see some of the
Let's
videos.
do some video.
So hopefully those guys in the back can find
shout
something
out
to
to
move.
Phoebe and Andrew. Thank you so much. Okay, this is Carlos De La Torre. His very first night dive. And he's getting his ass whooped, right, by a little tiny wave.
This is Carlos on his first night dive. Here we are at Corral Beach, August.
Just got to take those
what
fins
day?
off, man.
August 29th, I think.
29th, yeah.
29th, August 29th, Corral Beach. Carlos' first night dive. He's exiting the surf.
Yeah.
So we're at Corral Beach, and there's our other guys are out there. Okay, well,
You're just there with the camera. Hey, how you doing? Getting wrecked by the surf.
you can crawl in on your hands and knees. It's perfectly acceptable.
Come on, Carlos. I ain't paying you.
There you go. Like a boss. He's laughing.
He's like,
Oh, it's good to see young people having fun. Jack and Bill are still out there. The moon, Santa Monica Bay. Hi, people walking by.
Saw you out there. We thought we were here in spaceship.
Yeah, we are. We're aliens. Walk backwards, Carlos, backwards. Now go as fast as you want. Walk backwards. There you go. Are you the one smoking the wacky tobacco?
All right, so we've seen enough of Carlos suffering here. So just
I
so,
want to comment on this video.
yeah. But just so we know that you don't do it perfect every time either, right? Do we have that picture of
He
you?
did it perfect. I want to comment on this video. Carlos De La Torre, this was his third dive ever.
Wow.
So that kid's got a lot of heart.
Yeah.
Most people, I know people diving for 10 years will not go on a night dive.
Yeah.
They're frightened. He's got a lot of heart. He went in not ideal conditions, as you saw, and he laughing on the way coming out. And he stuck by me. He did fantastic. He did nothing wrong. And I just want to say to him, and he's very pretty, but he's more than just a pretty face.
Well, I think we all know that.
Hey.
So I do want to. There have been some comments. I commented myself. Guy still got his fins on. When do you take your fins off, and when do you put them on when you go on a dive off the beach?
Okay, my personal method is I keep them on when I'm going in. I keep them on when I'm coming out until I'm all the way out of the surf. Now, Jack uses a completely different method. He strolls right in, and then he puts his fins on out in the water.
That's what I do.
Well, okay, whatever works for you. But I have been knocked down in the water, and if you don't have your fins on, you're going to be pretty helpless. But it's up to each individual. Each diver is ultimately responsible for their own safety. Safety plus comfort equals enjoyment. And my daughter says, "No, Dad, no." She says, "Danger plus excitement equals enjoyment." She's very adventurous. She's the first one who ever brought me to this club. Here, this is my rescue class. I'm learning rescue diving there. And I'm hauling the lady through the ocean onto the boat, and she played the victim, where she goes unconscious, and then I bring her up to the surface and haul her to the boat. And at one point during this scenario, she's gonna come alive and attack me. And she's very good at attacking because she's small and wiry, and she will spin around and get on the back of your tank, and you're not getting away. But
So I notice here you don't have it. It doesn't look like you have a tank on. It doesn't look like you have a mask or a snorkel.
I could have done it. I've done it both ways. I've done it every way you're supposed to do it. But
And what's your take on snorkels? Most of these pictures.
expect the unexpected. So this may be the time when the captain says simply, "Rescue diver, go," with no warning, whatever. Just
and you just jump in.
go. Yeah, just fins on and go. Yes.
So what's your take on, I noticed you had your snorkels on in that picture with you and Jack. Can you back it up to that? Where's that picture with you guys? You took the regulator in your mouth and you're smiling.
Oh, I always have my snorkel.
And it's always on your mask.
Always, yeah.
You never stuff it in your BC?
No.
Why is that?
Because I'm stingy, and I will do a surface swim to conserve my bottom, to conserve my air for bottom time. Sometimes we have a long surface swim to get to a target, and so I'll just keep that on. And besides, you never know when you're going to need it. And another point is that you see people with it up on their head. You will never see me do that. I always pull it down, because if it's on your head, two things you don't want to do that is, one, it can be a distress signal. If they see you do that from the boat, somebody's going to come out and save you, and you don't want that, because when you're not in distress, they're going to be pissed. And secondly, I've seen a wave come, people put it on their forehead, a wave comes, boom, there goes the $75 mask, and your dive is over. Forget the loss of the equipment, but you're done diving for the day.
So I've always had a question about this, because I personally like to put it on my head. I don't like that it gets fogged up there, but when I put it around my neck, when I go put it back on, my back strap is not in the right spot.
I know.
So how do you deal with that?
I straighten it.
You straighten it?
I straighten it.
Yeah.
The way I was trained was that if you have a problem, solve it right where you are. Don't go to the surface. I don't come to the surface to solve any problem. If the strap is broken, I'll figure a way to fix it underwater.
Just hold it on?
Well,
The mask is like the most important thing I've noticed when I've been diving, because it's
probably the most personal, because you need to have a fit, yeah.
But having a good mask and having it clear and all that kind of stuff, that,
Yeah.
you know, you're going diving to go look at stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So if you can't see stuff, I mean, I can live. I know that the air's up there, and you know, if I lose my mask and I do that, okay, so I can ascend at a reasonable rate. But I mean, without a mask, the dive's over, right?
I'm having fun here. Yeah, of course, yes.
You can't do anything without a mask.
Well, you can do something. You can still breathe. Even if your mask is knocked off, you can still breathe.
But I mean, as far as the dive, if your mask is done, the dive's done. You're basically in,
when
like,
I teach a
let's get out.
refresher course, throw everything in the deep end. Now go get it.
That's a fun
On
exercise.
one breath, and don't come back up. And the guy said, "How am I going to do that?" I said, "Watch me." So I swim down to the bottom. What do you need first?
Regulator.
You need to breathe, okay? So now I got the regulator in. I got all the time in the world. I can put my mask on, clear it up, put my fins on, do whatever I need to do.
Yeah, so I've got a pool, and I'll tell you about the fun game we do. We'll throw all the little pool toys in to go pick up, and we'll throw a pair of fins and a mask in. And your job is to go down, don the mask, don the fins, pick up everything in the pool.
On one breath.
Yeah,
You left that part out.
on one breath. Yeah, so the big question is...
Wait, who does this?
I'll do it.
Well, who else?
My brother-in-law and my dad, if
But
he's
not
over, and
Jack.
stuff like that. No, not Jack yet.
But he's
he
getting
will.
there.
One day. I mean, but these are the type of games that are good training, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's interesting. It's a fun trade-off, because you know, you go down and you put your mask on, now you can see. So do you put the fins on and be more efficient swimming around the bottom, or do you just kind of kick out and do it? Because the fins are probably hard to put on.
Okay, first I get my mask. First I get the rig, then I get the mask, then I get the weight belt.
Yeah, the weight belt is
Because otherwise you're floating up. But if you don't have a wetsuit on, that's no issue.
How would I do it? I would, actually, you know what I would do? Is I'd swim down and I'd like put the weight belt over my leg or something. like I'd like hook into the weight belt.
Yeah,
I
you
wouldn't
do
put
that.
it on, but I just put it on my leg so I'm down there, and then I'd put the regulator in. Because actually, you can do quite a bit before you need to take your second breath off the regulator.
Yeah.
Right?
But once you got the and you grab the, if you can't see because it's blurry, grab the top of the tank, follow the hose, you got the reg, 1 second, you'll have it done.
Right. Have you ever been in any situations where you
Yes.
sort of panicked?
No.
Have you ever been in any situations where you had to bail and just basically go straight to the surface?
Yes.
Emergency surface. Tell me about that. Emergency surface. Blow out all the way. That whole thing. What happened?
Yeah, I have done that.
What happened? Sucked a tank dry?
My wife and I, before we had kids, sailed over to West End, Catalina. And she stayed on the boat while I dove. That rock on the end of the West End of Catalina, Steve, is that Eagle Rock? Eagle Rock. Eagle Rock, it's called. It's a pinnacle coming straight up out of the water. It's a very dramatic place. So she stayed on board while I went down, and I'm circling the pinnacle. And this is a long time ago. So this is before we had octopus. So I only had a single regulator, and all of a sudden, I just got a mouthful of water, and I took it off and looked at it, and the diaphragm was gone. I'm not getting any air out of there.
What depth were you?
60?
Yeah.
Who said that?
Derek.
Eric. 60?
So you're at 60 feet and regulator's just dead.
Yeah.
What?
Mouthful of water.
So what'd you do?
Well, you're not supposed to do this. But I figured, well, I'm not going to be breathing out of that tank, so I won't be needing it. So I jettisoned the old Scuba Pro vest in the tank, and I just swam to the top. Now, that was before computers, but the old rule of thumb, I emphasize, the old rule was don't go faster than your slowest bubbles.
Right, but that's like for a normal ascent. This isn't like I don't have any air.
Well, nevertheless, that's what I did. But as you're ascending, remember, below, you are breathing bottled air. So that air in your lungs is going to expand. So if you think about it, you're never out of air. If you're going up, if you go up 5 feet, you got more air. You can blow some out.
You can always blow. So did you continue?
I mean, it feels like it because...
Did you do the thing like, did you blow bubbles the whole way?
Oh, nothing fancy, Rich. But I got the job done. I went back and told my wife I left the tank down there. I just strapped on another tank and finished my dive.
But you didn't ditch your weights.
No, I didn't.
You must have been very well tuned because you lost your BCD, your vest, right?
Well, okay, the instructor says over and over, what's the first rule of scuba? Says,
Breathe continuously and never hold your breath.
Never hold your breath. And my own belief is no. The first rule of scuba, this is only my opinion. First rule of scuba is never panic. Because if you panic, all bets are off anyway. So the other rules go out the window. So what difference does it make? So as long as I keep a cool head, no worries. So
what did it feel like swimming up? Was the surface a long way away and you're like, oh boy, here we go?
Well, it's not something you want to do for fun, but I know somebody who did. But it was like no big deal. I just went and got another.
I feel like you do it for fun and training, right? I think
Not from 60, no.
Nah, you do it for like 30 or something, right?
Well, no, I don't even know about that. What do I know?
I don't know.
But
seems like you know a lot after 50 years of diving.
I got another tank and just finished my dive and brought the other one back with me and shot a couple of fish on the way and away we go.
You threw that regulator away.
No, of course not. I got it rebuilt. I'm still using it. Actually, I think Jack's using it. That is a Scuba Pro regulator. It's made out of brass. It will never wear out. The plastic parts wear out, and they have to be rebuilt every once in a while. But extremely dependable. But now they make them out of a lot of plastic, and I don't think they're nearly.
So as far as dependable, okay. So it gives you air when you need air, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But compare like the performance of that Scuba. Like I understand they both give you air and they're reliable, but compare that performance of that one to like a newer regulator? Are you getting anything from those newer ones? Is it a nicer breath? They feel better?
I won a brand new SCUBA Pro regulator. I think it's like a Mark 15. I think the one Jack has is like a Mark 4, Mark 5 or something. Now I'm on a Mark 15. Rich, I can't really tell the difference. I'm sure that some people can.
So, yeah.
But as long as I can adjust it and it pulls, it breathes right,
So you've been diving on the same regulator since it failed on you?
No, I won the new one.
But you don't use it?
Yeah, I do use it.
Oh, you do?
I do use it. Yeah, and Jack uses it. He's perfectly happy with it. He can't tell the difference, can you? Yeah.
Do you service the regulators yourself, or do you take them to the dive shop and have them?
No, I have it rebuilt by a professional. Or yeah.
You're not a professional after 50 years?
Every 10 years, whether it needs it or not.
I don't know. Like you take it to, you've been diving for 50 years, a half a century, the correct number of years that Stu Deats has been diving.
I just like the fun of it. I don't claim to be an expert in anything except having a good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's see another video. Do we have that picture of when you got in a fight with the ocean? Is that picture up? You sent it to us.
I don't know if it's in there or not.
Because this is a recent one.
Okay, well you can see that.
Yeah.
At our go-to place, Las Tunas, this is March 15th, last night of lobster season. Bill and I go to Las Tunas, and it's too rough to go in, and I know it's too rough to go in, which makes it look like all those times I called it on account of roughness, looked like that was a good call, because this time I go in, we both go in, and it's murky, it's rough conditions, they're very surgy. We come back in after about 45 minutes, and it's even gotten bigger, right? It's really rough now. It's clearly dangerous, and we're swimming back and forth looking for a safe place to land because the tide is up, and now there's no beach at all. We're going to have to land on the rocks. And if you saw the video of Carlos get knocked around by those little ankle slappers, because it doesn't take much. So the short version is I was coming in prone. I let all the air out and coming in as low as I can so you don't get picked up by a wave, but nevertheless I did, and I got chucked on my head a perfect face plant, and into the sand. I think it was a sand. It could have been a rock. And my buddy Bill was watching from behind, and he thought I was unconscious, but I wasn't. Crawling up, I start crawling out of the water, and Bill comes up. He's, Stu, let me take your fins. And I say, Bill, but who's going to carry my ego? What about that? So the next thing I said, Bill, get you. He says, Stu, your face is all bloody. I said, get your phone and take a picture right now. So I never had any pain. I had a concussion.
Off of this?
Oh, yeah. I was really swollen the next day. But I never had any pain from the concussion. But my back hurt for like a week. Huh. So I don't know exactly.
So you said you come in low. So when you're coming in on a rough, are you like right on the bottom?
Yeah, as much as possible, yeah. When it's a rough situation, yeah, come in, yeah, and then crawl out on your hands and knees like you see Carlo do. If it's rough, yeah.
But then this wave just picked you up.
If the waves are negligible, then I'll just come in backwards and walk out backwards, standing up like Carlos tried to do.
Because if you're low under,
I didn't. No, it was bloody, but didn't break.
So if you're low coming in under the waves, you can't see the waves. And you don't really know your depth, right?
Well, it's nighttime anyway, so I think it was very shallow, and that's why it picked me up and slammed me head first.
So I'm interested to try this method. But on the other hand, I see the results.
Any diver can call any dive for any reason. You never have to give an excuse. If you just don't feel like going, cool.
So this is when you chalk up to like, maybe we shouldn't have done that.
Well, yeah, exactly right. And
your bar was getting up a little too high, so you got to push the.
Well, We could have skipped that one entirely, but then I wouldn't have a cool photo.
Did you get anything else out of this dive?
Did I get what?
How many lobsters? You said it was the last day of
I
lobster
didn't.
season.
We saw a lot of lobsters. They were all shorts. We went in subsequently. I think it was last weekend. Was it a couple weeks ago? We went to the other end of the same area, and we saw like the giant lobsters. Because every time we've gone to this location, we find lots and lots of shorts. Dozens. I've seen a dozen all together, but they're all undersized. But maybe it was 2 weeks ago. We went to a couple weeks ago. We went to. Maybe it was just this last weekend. Yeah, it was last weekend. We went to the other end, and we saw the granddaddy. And I knew the granddaddy had to be there someplace, but for some reason, they just stay in a different area. But now I know where they are, so when lobster season comes, never mind.
You're ready for it, huh?
I'm coming back there.
When you lobster, do you take a gauge to check the size, or can you eyeball it?
State law, you have to have the gauge.
You have to have it.
Everything looks one-third bigger underwater.
But I mean, are you tuned in at this point? You can be like, I know what that is.
We know they're too small, yeah.
Yeah.
You can see. I mean, if it's a whopper, you know he doesn't need a gauge, right?
Right.
And I have dug them out. And Jack's a great one for digging them out. Meaning, once they back in, well, sometimes you can reach around to the other end of the hole and like pump the water, and they'll start coming back out, and then you snatch them. We got the little tricks, you know. You can never outsmart a lobster, but we try.
I feel like you should be able to outsmart a lobster. Their brain's like that big.
You would think so, right?
But they're pretty good at evading capture. That's interesting, because does a lobster have like a predator that comes and picks it up besides humans?
Octopus.
Ah, it's interesting.
Oh, octopus love lobster. Yeah.
So they're doing the same thing that we're doing. They're reaching.
Yeah, but octopus can squeeze through a tiny hole that big. They can make themselves small and squeeze through a crack.
I feel like a lobster doesn't have a chance.
I have some octopus videos.
Let's see those videos.
Let's go. Well, just go whatever the next slide is, Phoebe. You're doing a great job up there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, this is an octopus. Wow, she's great. And this is right here in Marina Del Rey Breakwater.
You choose this music?
I did. Pardon? This is a night dive. Actually, it's a lobster dive. But sometimes you find them on the sand, just out walking around. And actually, all the big ones I found were on the sand. But this is an octopus. And all of those empty shells there, he ate them. That's why all that clutter there, because they are like the ultimate predator. If you put an octopus in a fish tank, they'll eat everything. They'll kill everything in that tank. And they can change colors according to their mood. But I find him he's curious. He's watching me very closely.
Maybe it's a shitty.
Well, it could be, yeah, who knows?
I mean, he might be pissed off that you're shining lights in his eyes at midnight.
Could be, but he hasn't scooted yet. He's still coming back toward me a little bit. So I try to keep the distance enough to photograph him, but.
What kind of camera are you using to get this?
I use a very small camera, not very expensive. It's about $200 on. It's a Nikon AW. Nikon AW, which shoots pretty good photos, because I think underwater photography, for me, it's about being in the right place at the right time. Because cameras nowadays are so good. If you just get there, you're going to get a good shot. But light underwater is very important, because you won't see the colors without it. Otherwise, you're looking through a big blue filter. As you'll see, if we get to the, I hope we save enough time for the great whites. I got some video of great whites.
Let's take a look at him. This guy's going to scoot around the bottom for a long time.
Okay, here we go.
He wasn't going to catch a lobster, was he?
You're doing a great job. Pardon? This is at Guadalupe Island.
Where's Guadalupe Island?
You go, you take a Mexican bus, which is an adventure in itself, to Ensenada.
Isla Guadalupe. I see it right there on the map.
You take it to Ensenada, then there's a 20-hour crossing to, which is a long crossing, a rough crossing, to Guadalupe Island. And that's where the population I think I got several of them here.
And you're in a
At
cage
least-
here, right?
Pardon?
You're in a cage.
I'm in a cage, yes.
Did they tell you not to
At
stick your
first
hand
I
out?
was- Okay, that noise you hear? That's me. That's Stewart right there. Hi.
What's that noise?
That's his shutter. His exposure button. So what everybody does, the guide told me, when the shark goes by, everybody turns to see the shark, and nobody ever gets their picture in the shot. So I said, well, every time the shark came by, I turned to face the camera.
Took your regulator out and smiled?
Yeah. So the tour guide, his name is Martin Graff, and I asked him to speak here. He's a real, yeah, see, I took the rig out. You're on a hookah. You're on a hookah, and you do not need to be certified to do that because it's not scuba, and all the action is at the surface because they're chumming. They take a big piece of bluefin tuna or yellowfin tuna, and they throw it out there, and then they entice those big sharks to come in. And you do want to be in the cage, I think. I was very disappointed to find out I would be outside the cage, but when I got there, I was glad I was in the cage. Because like you're sticking your arms out to take a good photo, you're out of the cage, right, to take a photo, but when the shark comes near, you go like, bring him back in, right? Oh, by the way,
have you ever considered what would happen if that cage like broke free from the boat and it started? You're in a cage underwater, right?
It's
and
dangling, Rich. It's dangling from a slim cable, and when the surge come up, that thing is banging around.
Right. So have you ever considered what would happen if that cable snapped?
Did I mention I have a half sister?
No.
She doesn't have a different father. It was a shark attack.
But I mean, did that? The Stewart Deats jokes, ladies and gentlemen. But seriously, do you ever think about that? Like, well, this is a little cable banging around. What happened?
Of course you think about that.
So what would you do? You get out of the cage, right?
Well, you're going to have to bail out. First of all, don't panic, Rich.
Yeah.
But you're going
to start beating pretty fast if that happens.
I think the cage has floats on it.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. That's good. So it won't plummet to the depths.
What depth would that be there if it did go to the bottom?
I'm sorry, what?
What's the depth? What's the depth?
Oh, you're right
at
at the surface. You're maybe like.
No, what's the depth under the keel?
Oh, under the keel?
100, 200?
No, it's only about 50 feet, I think.
So you're still okay then, right?
I mean, they did let some cages down.
They
But
took the floats.
the chum is at the surface, so
they took
that's
the
where
floats off the cages and let them down.
I'm sorry?
They took the floats off the cages and let them down to the bottom.
I don't remember exactly how they did it.
Because it's surface supplied air.
It's a surface supplied air, so you can be out there all day, which I was.
It's just
We go
basically how
for
long.
3 days. I was in the water each day for like 10 hours.
Huh. Just sitting down there looking, huh?
Yeah, because the sharks are coming by, and the first day we saw something like 27 different sharks, and I don't have it here. I brought the book, but there's a book of it has 300 named sharks from this. Now it's 350 named sharks from the Guadalupe Island population. They're all named and they're identified. And I'm sorry.
How many did you see?
We saw 27 like the first day.
Wow.
And then just more. And yeah, so for the hookah, you don't have to be, this is such a great club. The way I got this trip, I come out of the dive shop in the valley there, and I check my phone. I got a call here from Gary Mortimer, a member, Gary Mortimer member. And I call him up. I say, hey, what's up, Gary? He says, listen. He says before the COVID. He says I bought this trip to Guadalupe, and I can't go. I said, I like where this is headed.
I like the sound of that.
I like where this is going. So he gifted me that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wish he had have given it to Night of High Adventure so we could have auctioned it off to you. But that's cool too.
Auction it off?
Yeah, it's a great thing
knowing
to
what
auction.
I know now, I would go on it. Initially, I was very disappointed because I wanted to be outside the cage.
With great
I wanted
whites.
to do some free diving. I want to do some scuba diving. I want to explore, go around. But no, you can't do that. So I was bitterly disappointed. But once you get there,
I'll be okay
yes,
in the cage.
you do want to be in the cage. But I mean, one of our, and I think this is Nautilus, and I think this is the same boat that you have a great white coming, right?
Yeah.
A great white.
Yeah, speaker, yeah.
Speaker coming. I think he might be I think he's affiliated with that same charter company.
Cool.
So, but I didn't really look at the details, but it's really a treat. And I would definitely do it again. You don't have to be certified. You're on the hookah. You can be there all day. One guy came in. I happen to know this one guy. I didn't know any people on this boat, but I knew this one guy out from Riverside. And he came in, and he came down the ladder, and he looked around. And he started grabbing his heart, and he went right back up. So I saw him later say, hey, what's the deal? Why did you go back up? He says, man, I had a panic attack. He says, I can't do this. That's what I said.
So a couple questions. First of all, you just go in and come out whenever you want?
Yeah.
And you were there for 10 hours. Did your jaw, like, break?
Oh,
like
you mean from the rig?
Yeah, from holding the rig.
No, but my feet got sore from...
standing on the bars or whatever?
Well, you're wearing a bootie, and your feet are just soaking, and I think they get soft and eventually I got some kind of infection.
Yeah. So now, I don't want to hear about the infection.
No, it was minor.
No, yeah, I'm sure it was.
Small price to pay. Rich.
But did you ever have a shark hit that cage?
Oh, did they bump it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they bumped it, yes.
Ever with their nose or just kind of like with the fin?
And Scott Warner, I didn't go with Scott Warner, but he went on a very similar trip, same location, same type of deal, and the shark rammed the cage and got his nose. And the blood, the water's full of blood, and there's a great shot of Scott Warner like backing up, and he's backing up in the cage to get a. I'd love to have that shot.
But they're bumping the cage. Like, did you get a picture?
He did more than bump the cage. He bent the bars. It's like he's coming in.
He's trying to bite you.
The shark,
he's trying to eat you.
He was trying to, not me. He was trying to bite Scott Warner, which I think
but on this trip,
perfectly justified.
You didn't feel like any of these sharks were actually like they bumped the cage, but were they any of them like trying to eat you?
No.
Like you get that sense. You look in their eyes and like that one wants to eat me.
They're very wary. It's amazing. They'll glide in and they'll go around the bait. They'll go around, they'll check it out, then they take they have a very large turning radius. They don't turn on a dime. That's why I saw them swimming with lots of other fish, including the yellowfin tuna. And the yellowfin tuna, they like turn on a dime, so they can, and even the sea lions were swimming with, right next to the great whites, and they just turn like that, and the great whites cannot get them because
I bet they're watching
it's like
those great
turning
whites,
a ship
though.
or something. They just, pardon?
I bet they're watching those great whites.
Yeah, they are. Oh, they're very wary. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's crazy.
It was a great experience. I'd like to do it again if I could get any of my family members to Jack says he's willing to go. Okay.
That's phenomenal.
Next video. Okay.
Yeah.
The ill-fated conception. Every diver knows about what happened.
Give us a quick recap of what happened to the Conception.
The Conception. That was our go-to boat. That was the boat we would go to all the time. So whoever slept in my bunk is now dead, because what happened on the Conception was a sudden fire. The construction of the Conception is you have the crew's quarters on the top, you have the galley, which is in the middle, and you have all the sleeping quarters down below. A flash fire occurred And everybody down below perished, which I think it was 37 divers. The crew was able to escape. They did try several times, especially Captain Jerry, who did survive, tried several times to rescue and go back in and got burned. But the fire spread so quickly there was really nothing he could do.
What was fueling this fire? How did they
Electrical.
figure it out?
They traced it to the kind of battery for a camera.
Yeah.
Because we had there was a charging station, which is, essentially was a charging table.
Right.
Now, the Coast Guard changed all of the regulations as the direct result of this inquiry. They changed it to make some really good and common sense regulations. One, all the charging now will be done in a fireproof area, like a vault or a cabinet or a safe or whatever it is. It's going to be in a fireproof area, right? So that part of it is eliminated. But the other part is, see, the escape hatch, this is a huge part. Captain Rich Abley would know a great deal about this. The escape hatch brought you up into the galley, which was totally on fire. So essentially, your two escape hatches, your egress goes into the fire, which is the galley, is totally consumed within a matter of 3 minutes. I want to point out this was not a diving accident. This was a boating accident. Diving was not involved in the least.
Mm. So now that we know the history of the conception, for those of you that didn't follow it,
Yeah.
tell us about some of the good times that you guys had on that.
Ah, so many. So many. If we keep going, we'll find the conception was part of the 3-boat fleet that is Truth. What's it called? Truth Aquatics. Oh, this is great. This is the conception in this cave. This is called Painted Cave at Santa Cruz Island. If you're not familiar with it, this is one of the reasons. California there's so many places to dive in Southern California, so many things to do. And this is a huge cave. We pull that boat into the cave, and it keeps going. There's a bunch of sea lions all the way back there, and you can't even see how far it goes. It goes a long way. But
So do you dive up in there?
I didn't.
Do people?
I would.
But on this trip, you didn't jump out.
No.
This was just to see the inside of the cave.
Just we dove outside the cave, yeah. If you're going to dive a cave, make sure you know how to get in and get out.
Well, this is technically open water, right?
No, this would be sheltered water or protected water. Well, I don't. Yeah,
But for purposes of diving, you're not penetrating the cave at that point, right?
well, we're not diving at all, but.
Yeah.
Are there any lobsters in?
Are there any lobsters? Yeah.
I imagine there's a big load of lobsters. I guarantee there's lobsters. And I'm guessing some of the crew know all about how to get to them, too.
Do lobsters go out? Like, what does the life look like in a cave like that that's attached to the ocean? Is there a lot of marine life, or does it kind of die off? Does
There's
it change?
another cave, well-known cave in in Catalina, I think it is. Well, I'm not sure where Blue Cave is on Catalina, but it is almost completely submerged. There's an air cap in it, but I mean, like enough that you could get up and poke your head, but nothing like to the.
But is there any life down there? You mentioned maybe some lobsters.
When the crew told me when they first went to Blue Cave, it was wall-to-wall lobster, solid lobster,
wow.
and you saw a picture of lobsters that like crowding on top of themselves. But people do kayak up in there.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, and it's well worth visiting. But you're not going to get there if the weather is rough. A lot of times it's too rough to get there.
Yeah, it seems like you'd have to go in there very flat water at low tide. I noticed the high tide mark on there.
Yeah, you don't want to damage the boat.
Yeah.
Right. And I would say the captain was very, very good at getting it in there and backing it back out. because it's kind of a tight fit. I mean, there's not a lot of wiggle room in there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what do you do if because you got to position that boat too, so if you start to drift, you don't have any steerage, right?
I don't know what to say. There's no bow thrusters on that boat.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a twin screw. Was a twin screw? Okay.
Right.
So he can kind of twist a little bit and shimmy back and forth.
Yeah.
Walk it left, walk it. Yeah, maybe. Well, hey, Stu, tonight has been great.
So we're done?
No, we're not done.
Oh.
You have to endure questions from the audience at this point. Opening up the floor of cross-examination of Mr. Deats here. So David McAlexander is going to pass the mic around. I don't know if you guys got that, but it's your turn to ask some questions of this man. So raise your hand if you got a question. Oh, your son's going to give you the business here.
Jack Deats has a question.
Where do you get off?
Well, no, so you got to point it directly at your mouth.
Yeah,
Otherwise, no good.
point the mic at your mouth.
Yeah, there you go.
So what is your next dive adventure?
Hey, how would you like to go to Monterey Bay?
All right, sure.
Monterey
was
Bay. Matthew Nadeau was given a thumbs up. Is that a thumbs up? Yep. Monterey Bay, but Chuck was telling me about Hamilton something.
Monastery Beach.
Monastery Beach.
Monastery Beach. So we'll check into that. But also on the board, but I can't wait that long, so we'll go to this weekend. We'll go someplace to our go-to because we haven't fully explored that yet, and we haven't shot any. Pardon me. We haven't killed anything there. I like to kill things because it makes me feel like a big man inside. Gives me a warm feeling.
So Monterey, our past president Jim Dorsey moved up there, and
Right, Jim Dorsey.
You go diving with him.
He is also a diver and a long kayaker. I know he kayaked at least, Chuck, is that correct? From Monterey Bay down to Baja?
I don't know if Jim's done that.
Yeah, I think he has.
Wouldn't be surprised.
He's very knowledgeable about California diving.
Question.
So, David, how would you address a 77-year-old man who'd never dived anywhere if he was interested in checking it out?
I'm processing.
I'm listening.
I'm 71, and I told one of my dive buddies, I don't know how long I can do this because it's physically demanding. And his reply was, you don't show any signs of slowing down. So I would say go do it because there are many different levels. You don't have to beach dive. A lot of people, most people won't beach dive. I enjoy the challenge, I really do. And what's a concussion between friends now and then?
I got that.
So I'll chip in my own little answer. I'm a diver.
Oh, okay,
right?
go ahead.
So beach diving, I would consider it's probably the hardest. It's very difficult, right? And depending on the conditions. If you go to the East Coast, right, they dive in old quarries that are flooded, and that is about the easiest diving I've ever done. It's like a giant pool. There are no waves. It's fresh water, and there's a bunch of crazy stuff to see in the bottom of the quarries.
You're not going to tell me west is best?
Well, it is, but it's harder. Like this is, I've been on the East Coast. I've been down in the Caribbean, some other places, but
Key West is easy.
Yeah, Florida, Key West.
Yeah, I want to speak.
A quarry is so stinking easy, and I mean, it's so easy that it's boring after a while. Yeah, it's basically like being in a gigantic
You
pool.
can do it on all different levels.
Yeah.
My instructor, that lady that ran the rescue class, she's in her 80s, and she is tough. She teaches people to dive in, paraplegics, people in wheelchairs, disabled veterans. They do a special thing for them. I would say don't let anything but fear stop you.
Well, give me a lead. Who can I talk to?
You can talk to me after the meeting.
I will.
And another thing he said that's super important, right? Stu Deats' first rule of diving is don't panic, which gets to like, hey, don't let fear stop you. Or fear should be the only thing that stops you. But not panicking, like anytime you're exerting physical effort, like that's when it's gonna start to snowball.
Sure.
Right? So it should be very calm and peaceful and easy.
Well,
But you should also
you don't
be
want it to
prepared
be
for it to
too
be
easy,
hard.
Rich.
Right.
Well, I appreciate all that,
But,
and I'll work on being calm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a cold water diver and a warm water diver, but people that only dive in warm water, they're missing a lot.
Oh yeah.
Really missing a lot. Because those great whites, that's cold water.
I'll tell you, my very first dive, Stu, was a night dive. Very first dive after being certified was a night dive
You reckless fool.
through a kelp forest.
Oh, wow.
And talk about something that'll get you hooked on it. I was like you described, flying through a redwood forest. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Where was it?
Catalina, Cherry something,
Cherry Cove.
on the opposite side of Cherry Cove, whatever that cove is.
The opposite side. Oh,
Is there a Cherry Valley or
Christmas
whatever?
tree-
Dead Man's Cove.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
There's
No.
Christmas Tree Cove or Gold Harbor.
I can look it up because it's dive number 1 in the dive book
Yeah, there's all kinds of them.
in the log. Because I mean, that back then you're still taking logs, right? Do you keep a log book?
I still do.
Every time you put it in.
Well, I missed a few. I missed a few years, but my instructor said, well, part of your dive master training, you want to start logging everything.
Yeah.
And when I go back and look at,
So, just to finish, what would be imprudent for a 77-year-old man to do in this situation? What would be imprudent for me to do?
what would be imprudent?
What does he want to avoid?
Oh, well, don't go on a beach dive without, you're comfortable in the water. Being comfortable in the water is a skill. Just that by itself is a skill. So, you want to be thoroughly trained, and then you'll know yourself what you're ready for.
All right, thank you.
Chuck Jonke.
And real divers and aviators keep logs.
So scallops, I've never gone for scallops. So you have to have a scallop iron or something or other, and it has to be a certain
No,
size?
well, again, I'm stingy, so I go like the 99-cent store and get like a little pie cutter, something with a flimsy blade, so you can stick it inside the shell and zip it out. But there's two schools of thought. Some people pull the whole scallop off, including the shell, which is probably better because then a new one will grow. But some of the boats, they don't like you cleaning them on deck because it's messy.
So you cut the shell off and then take it.
Cut the meat out.
You can zip the meat out artfully, zip with like a pie cutter or something, and then just so you have the button, and you can just put that in a little.
But pulling it off the rock, I mean, can you just hand pull it off the rock?
Sometimes you can, but usually you're going to need like an iron.
Okay, so you have an iron to pry it off, and
Yeah.
then you're cutting out the.
Yeah, then you can clean them on deck, but some people, they don't like you cleaning them on deck because it's
And
not
then-
difficult, but it's messy.
And how do you prepare it food-wise? I mean,
Oh my God. Scallops
Butter.
is the best. Just really saute it with a little butter. It doesn't really need anything because it's so delicate. And personally, I much prefer it to lobster. The lobster, I like catching, but I let the fam eat it.
Great.
Teriyaki is great with scallops. Little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Any more questions out there?
I see a question in the back.
All the way in the back.
Hi, Dan Dobson, 1216. Question, it looked super calm in that boat in the cave. What side of the island is that? I did some sea kayaking out there, and even on a small day, I mean, there were surges and swells.
Yeah, that was an ideal day.
Yeah.
Really, I'm not looking at the chart when I'm out there. I mean, sometimes I do, but as I recall, it's on the east side of the island, but it's not the near part. It's the going around the corner part. It's a bit of a trip.
All right, any more questions out there?
Yep, Matt
Nadeau.
Nadeau.
Yeah, Matthew Nadeau, 1204. I was going to say that the gentleman that was asking about, excuse me, sir.
His name was David.
The gentleman that was asking about what to do to get started. So, Stewart, part of me marrying my wife was she's been diving for years, and she's like, "You got to get your ass in gear and get in the water, or
Well, good for her.
this isn't going to happen." So, part of my COVID journey was learning how to dive. But we just literally went down to Baja. We just went into Mexico, found a local dive guy, and in 3 days I got certified. Just went to a little cove and he just helped me out, and it was awesome. And it was a couple dives and some beers and tacos after. Yeah, Patty. Yeah, so over 3 days. So it was easy and really awesome. But Stewart, I'd love to ask you: have you set up any dives with the Adventures Club in general? Getting a bunch of the guys out here.
I'm willing.
And what is your most memorable dive that you've had in your career?
I'm processing.
We have time.
I have to say Palau. A
What
night
did you see in
dive.
Palau?
Pardon?
What did you see at Palau?
Those reefs in Palau are honeycombed with whole caves, right? And I thought I went on a night dive in Palau by myself, of course, with a
That's not on the list of
with a
the
borrowed
rules.
flashlight. I thought I was going, Matthew, I thought I was going into a swim through, you know, like an arch where you swim through it and you come out the other side, right? Well, it turned out it wasn't a swim through. It was a cave that spiraled in to itself. And when I got to the end of it, I turned around and there was 2 ways out. Okay, now what do? I don't know which way I came in. I don't know which way I came into this place, right? So I wasn't panicked. I was concerned.
So, night dive, nobody, go into a cave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And don't dive alone. Ever.
I always dive alone.
That's not one of Stewart Deats'
Hey.
rules.
Yeah, we do. But there is a certification for solo diving.
Do you have
I probably blew. No. No, but I didn't know which way to go out. But what I did was look up. I looked up, and there was a way out on the way up. So basically, I swam up to the surface, which was about 65 feet. And luckily, the water was high enough that I could swim out over the reef, because there was about 18 inches of water to swim out over the reef. Because if the water was low tide, I would have been stuck in that hole. Because that lava, is whatever it is, that's the barnacles and all that's razor sharp.
No wetsuit on this one? Or like a thin, super
No, probably not a wetsuit. Probably just a thin skin.
rash guard?
Skin, yeah. Skin.
So not enough wetsuit to protect you from that reef.
So I do remember that one. That's not something you forget.
Memorable dive. All right, any other questions out there?
Yes. Hi, I'm Haya Nadeau. I'm Matthew's wife. And I'm Haya Nadeau.
Okay. For going forward, you're Haida, and then he's your husband.
Yes. He is my husband. And yes, it was a marriage requirement for him to get certified.
Outstanding. So was mine, by the way.
That's awesome. Her requirement or your requirement?
If we're going to get married, you got to get certified.
Yes, I support that. But I've been diving for 15 years, and I completely agree with you. Southern California is one of the best in the world because of the kelp forest. And I can totally relate to all the dives. We're probably on the same boats together, and we don't even know.
You look familiar.
I've been on the Conception at least 12 times.
Oh.
Actually, that weekend, I was trying to book a dive with them for the weekend dive, but they were fully booked because they had a special photography team on board. So I ended up diving on the Peace Boat, which was in the same area in Santa Cruz.
Sister ship.
Yep, sister ship, and literally was just a couple 100 feet away from them when this happened. So
Jeez.
completely heartbreaking. But I've been diving for 15 years, dived all over the world. What do you suggest would be like a super exciting dive for an experienced diver, but also has a husband who's newly certified that we would both enjoy. And by the way, the day we got engaged, we were surrounded by at least 10 bull sharks that were 15 foot each, and it was amazing. Best day of my life.
You're talking about locally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a destination, but locally. But yes, I've also dived all over the PCH, Las Tunas, Leo Carrillo,
Oh, you know all these places.
Point Doom. So I've kind of explored Southern California.
Yeah, I have to recommend Casino Point on Catalina.
I've done it.
And oh, you've already been there.
Yes.
But has Matt done it?
No, he has not.
There you go.
Okay, well, is he advanced?
Not yet. We're working on it.
Okay, Farnsworth Bank.
I have not done that.
Farnsworth is on the.
Actually, I have done Farnsworth. Yes,
Oh, you have
I
done
Farnsworth. Yep.
So you found it forgettable?
You know, I think Farnsworth was actually when I only did it once, and
It can
was
be pretty dramatic.
Yeah, conditions weren't very good that day, so it was a little bit of a tough dive. But yeah.
Well, think about it, Stu, and get back to her after the meeting here.
Well, okay, but for advanced, there's Wreck Alley in San Diego. There's 4 wrecks 5 minutes outside, maybe 10 minutes outside the harbor.
I feel like you guys would be into that.
Wreck Alley.
Yeah.
Wreck Alley.
I'm a wreck, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, well, hey, Stu, thank you for coming tonight. If anybody has any questions, stick around after the meeting for Stu. But let's give you a round of applause. Thank you for joining us tonight. And thank you all for watching online there. We'll see you next week right here at the Adventurers Club of Los Angeles. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So we're out?